Little Big Planet, a beloved PS3 game released over 16 years ago. This was a 2D side-scroller game that garnered the creativity of its player base, countless user-generated content, and the start of a very successful, albeit a bit abandoned franchise. On April 19, 2024, it was announced by Sony that the servers for Little Big Planet 3 would be indefinitely shut down, marking this date as the official death to the Little Big Planet franchise. Like many other players in PS3, the Little Big Planet franchise brought me a lot of good times with its robust level creation system, customizations, local and online multiplayer, and many other things. I was considering including this franchise in the Forgotten PS3 Games video due to the fact that Little Big Planet 1 and 2 are, in a way, stuck in the console, but decided against it due to the fact that you could technically play almost all the content from Little Big Planet 1 and 2 in Little Big Planet 3. But with the news of its servers shutting down, this is no longer the case, and now more than 10 million user-generated levels are lost in the void. You can still play Little Big Planet, but just the stages you have locally, if you ever had any, and each of the game's stories, which is fine for the most part, but this is most definitely a big loss for the Little Big Planet fandom. So join me in a little celebration of this amazing franchise, where I share everything that these games meant to me, and all the countless memories I made thanks to them. The one that started it all. It was an immense success when it released and got even more players when it was later given away for free with the sorry we f***ed up game Sony gave everyone after the 2011 hacks. But man, there's so many things I can say about this game. I sometimes consider it my favorite just due to the amount of stages and hours I poured into it, but that of course was because I had way more time back then for this game than later ones in the franchise. So my creativity was bursting with this one. This is also probably the game I played the most locally with my brothers and friends, and this is something I genuinely loved about these games. You could pretty much play with anyone, even people that did not play much games would have fun and enjoy them. And we would just have a blast finding and playing all these weird stages people would make. Hell, even the story stages were fun, and I remember the last stage to be particularly brutal to play. That wheel thing at the end was infuriating to me when I was little. I think with that it's good to mention that given that I can't revisit most of these things and games right now, that I am mostly speaking through memories. So if I mention something that is incorrect, that's probably why. It's been quite some time now, maybe too much. Eventually, I started playing this game online with a few friends that also had it, and that's when I enjoyed the game the most because it turned into, let's see who can make the most stage possible. I like to mention how cool it was that you could make stages with your friends locally and online. That was always something really neat for me. The highlight of this game for sure was its downloadable content, something I'm sure I can't say about any game right now. When they added the whole water feature with the Pirates of the Caribbean DLC, my little head was all and don't even get me started on the Metal Gear one. I just loved all these little things and everything you could make. I had these stages that were sort of a series in a sense, where each stage would be a different way of surviving or in a sense just killing yourself, hence why it was called the Kill Yourself series. Gotta love that teenage humor, huh? There was one stage that only had rocket cars or rocket-based creations, my favorite being a mariachi hat filled with rockets that went super fast and glitched the game each time, and my all-time favorite, the alligator one. You see, in Little Big Planet, there was a sub-theme era after the Pirates DLC came out where everyone would make a shark-related survivor map, where all you would do is run and swim away while this giant shark was trying to eat you. So of course I wanted to make my own. And man, I have to have over 100 hours playing this dumbass stage with friends. The amount of laughter it cost our group was something else, and that was the beauty of Little Big Planet. Trends would happen, people would share their creations, create trends, create items. It just created this community that was always evolving and making dumber and more exciting things. Hell, there was some stages that were flat out insane, like developer levels of impressive. So you had all this base content, all the content you would make, all the other users' content, kick-ass DLC, and you think, how can this game get better from here? And they go and actually grab all of this and double it. I can still remember how excited I was to get this game. The trailer alone is something I remember to this day fondly, with a song I sadly can't play or I get copyrighted instantly. This is one of the few games I pre-ordered the deluxe collection for it, because I wanted my damn Sackboy plushie. I was gonna go all in this game. This was gonna be the game that did everything for me, but then I got overwhelmed by everything you can do in this game, going into a type of choice paralysis, and did way less than the first one. This game by far succeeds everything the first one accomplishes. And I know I said the first one was my favorite sometimes, but there's just no way I can consider this one of MM's magnum opus. Everything that was in the first one was ported over to this one. Something I still find insane to this day, and constantly wonder why games like Mario Maker did not do. But I'm getting a little sidetracked there. So basically, everything I said about the first one applies here, with the added bonus that this game greatly overhauls level creations and gameplay. You can make whole games inside this one. They added basic programming, basic music creation, ways to interact with the background, NPCs that you can program to do more things in your stages, more songs to choose from, crazy new gadgets. It is just more, and more. The user creation in LittleBigPlanet 2 were just in a whole other level. Hell, the first stage I ever made in this game was actually designed first in paper to then translate it into the game. The amount of things I learned by just playing this game is insane. I straight up learned more programming from this game than my actual programming classes in college. I wish I was joking, but you know, oh well. This game will never stop impressing me, and I still consider it one of the most fullest experiences someone could get in the PS3. I don't know how they made a game that has everything the predecessor had and still feels so distinct. The first one had like this nostalgic vibe going on, like while you were playing it, you knew these were going to be treasured memories, making you feel more present. And the second one had this almost looking out for the future kind of vibe. I don't know, maybe it was just me growing up while playing the second one, but either way, I appreciate how different and yet similar these games make me feel. And if it was just me, one player, experiencing all of these different things, I can't imagine how many people this game alone inspired to go out and do amazing things. Truly a unique game of its time, and probably the saddest one that got lost. Before I go to LittleBigPlanet 3, I'd like to mention that I won't be talking about these games on screen. The PSP one because I sadly never played it, but I've heard nothing but amazing things from it. And the other ones because they are just completely different games that don't follow the same formula as the original 3. With that out of the way... Okay. Sadly, I don't have much to say about this particular game. This was the next gen game for the LittleBigPlanet franchise. It brought a lot of new things, specifically the added characters that had different abilities, and like prior games, it brought over everything from the past 2 games and added all its new things as well. This was also a game made by a different company, giving that MM went to work on their PS4 game Dreams. I was overall kinda meh over this game. I thought the story was pretty fun, but I just couldn't get into the level creation in this one. I think due to the fact that this one got, at least for me, overly complicated, and now I had to pour in way more time to make a stage here. And like I mentioned, I was increasingly getting less free time and way less people around me were playing this game as well. So overall, I lost a bit of interest in this game due to that. It still had its fun moments, but it always felt like it was missing something. Like the charm kinda drifted a bit. Like I mentioned, I can accurately describe how 1 and 2 made me feel and the overall vibe they both had. This one just felt all over the place. But the worst thing for sure was that many of the old stages just sometimes did not work correctly in 3. This was the thing that made me lose all interest in this game. Even though 3 wasn't as good as 2 or even 1, it was still fun with friends, and user-created stages made in 3 were cool as well. It's been almost 10 years since 3 released, and I honestly thought we were gonna get a true return to form eventually from MM, but it didn't seem to be the case. Hoping this isn't the last chapter in the LittleBigPlanet franchise, cause even if 3 isn't my cup of tea, it is to some people. All 3 games were impactful in their own way and created millions of memories for countless players. It shouldn't be a series that gets abandoned, and it honestly surprises me how it just fell from grace after 2 stellar games and 1 okay one. That's a better track record than a lot of franchises out there that are still going strong these days. It wasn't my intention to end this video on a sour note, but in reality, losing the last servers for these games straight up sucked. I had to rewrite most of this conclusion because the original one was written under the premise I still had access to all my old stages. Having lost that data and having no way to access any of them now just feels wrong, especially when there was no prior warning that this would happen, so people could archive and check if they still had access to their stuff. I am probably not the only one that lost stages that they hold dearly, and in a way, it feels like I am grieving a part of my life that just doesn't exist anymore. So this video goes to the LittleBigPlanet community and all the good memories we made with these games. May this video and subject age poorly.